All right, fact check this live stream, and after much gnashing of teeth, tearing of clothes, and literal wailing, I have finally conquered all of my technological issues for the night, and we are rolling. Well, most of us are. Jay Forte's got some weird fog around him, but we'll figure that out as we go. Guys, how's it going?
What's up?
Introduce yourselves. Tell everybody what you got going on. I like to do that at the top. That way we don't waste time with it at the end. And then we'll, I don't know, we'll just start shooting the shit. I don't have any particular intentions for this show tonight.
Yeah, I'll go first. You can follow me pretty much everywhere. Trey50 Daniel. Follow me on Twitter, Rumble, YouTube, all that. I want to do some more video stuff and post some of my Substack. Trey50Daniel at Substacks.com.
And you can also find Trey as the newest member of the Morning After. He replaced Mark, who is going to be doing a stint in jail for things that we don't talk about related to a certain day in 2021 when
the day democracy died,
or at least
almost died.
Almost died. Yeah, they saved it. I forgot.
Yeah,
gotta throw that almost in there. We're really, really close.
It wasn't successful. That's the problem.
There are two sides of the J6 argument. There are those who are mad because it was
not successful enough, and there are those that are mad that it was even successful at all.
Yeah.
And then those are the feds who did it.
So speaking of that, well, go, Steve. Go, Steve.
Oh, sorry. I'm Steve Fox. I'm B Team Steve. That's my new name for the show. And I sling coffee. FoxandSons.com. Order some coffee, please.
Also, I highly recommend that coffee. It's good stuff. I'm going to be breaking into the Den Blend 2 Electric Boogaloo this weekend. It's a medium blend. I personally like the dark blend. My wife prefers the light blend. So we're going to try the medium and see if we're both either happy with it or both disappointed. It'll be one or the other.
Oh,
yeah, I'm always a dirt roast guy.
I'll have to send you a bag of the Costa Rican honey prep, which is a single source. It's really good.
That looks really good. Yeah,
it's a lighter roast, but it's pretty stinking amazing. I'm kind of hooked on it right now.
See, I make my own medium blend. I take a handful of the dark beans and a handful of the light beans, put them in my little grinder and grind them up together, and then
that's what the Boogaloo is. It's exactly what it is.
See, I've been having that anyway.
50-50 mix.
Yeah. I mean, mine's not like perfectly measured. It's eyeballing it, but whatever.
Yeah. That works.
Jay Forte, what you got?
Hello, man.
Yeah, I got my Instagram e-thought filter on. Apparently, I bought a new camera and it's got a light that I have not been able to figure out how to turn off yet, and that's why it looks like, yeah. I sling chicken eggs. So that's all I do.
Hey, right now you're a billionaire.
I was gonna say you better watch out for those 87,000 new IRS agents because you're gonna be a billionaire soon enough, and they're gonna be coming for you to make sure that you pay your fair share.
Yeah,
that's the reason that they decided they were gonna hire 87,000 new ones. It was to go after the billionaires, not to come after everybody who's got a $600 Venmo transaction.
Or somebody just trying to have a yard sale.
You think they're going to stop at 600? They're going to go all the way down to $25.
I mean, what was the basis for 600 as the threshold? I don't really understand why that number was significant.
Because they probably crunched the numbers because they're going broke with all the spending and printing money. They got to find a way to squeeze people,
but that ain't gonna do anything. All it does is keep people in line. It's not to get the money. It's just to keep people in line. It's keep people scared. Because so what happens if you get a small bill? If you get a bill from the IRS,
I'm like Atlantic. I got them pretty things flying across the Atlantic. Back, we keep them.
What they're going to do is they're going to send you a bill for $10 because you had a $75 transaction, and you're not going to fight that because what's the point of fighting a $10 bill? It's going to cost you $5,000 to fight a $10 bill to the IRS.
I just don't pay anything.
So
I have always taken the approach that if they want it bad enough, they can take it out of my check. I don't pay anything.
Fund you.
But that's what they're gonna do though. But most people are gonna be so afraid they're gonna be like, oh shit, the IRS is coming after me. They'll send the $10 in, or they'll send the $50 in.
I think I still owe the state of Pennsylvania $1,200 because I didn't pay it, and then I moved 3 times in the course of 4 months, and like they kept sending stuff, and I just kept sending it back saying he doesn't live here anymore. Like I would write it on the envelope. He doesn't live here anymore. Send it back.
No way you really did that.
I never paid it, and I don't remember that it was ever. I don't recall it being taken out of any of my paychecks. So, as far as I know, I still owe the state of Pennsylvania about $1,200. Fuck them.
That's great.
Well, if you ever had the feds knocking on your door, you know what?
They watch the stream and they're like, "Hey, we found you, motherfucker."
Pennsylvania troopers are driving to your house right now.
Well, the state of Indiana sends me a bill every year for my child support because I have my child support automatically withheld from my paycheck. So every year I get sent a bill where they charge me for withholding
doing it
my child
automatically
support from my
doing it.
I was like, I'm not paying you to take my money from me. Like, fuck you. And so I've never paid one of those. I don't know how much that's up to now. It's been I've been divorced since 2015, so going on 8 years. I don't know. I can't remember how much. I think it's like $53 a year or something. But like, I'm not paying that. Fuck you. Like, I'm already paying child support. Why do I have to pay this? And my child support is like $26 a week. Like, why do I have to pay 2 weeks worth of child support to the state for taking away my money every week? Like,
that processing fee. Processing fees.
And you know that we don't have
they
to
already
have
skim off it anyways.
We don't have to have a processing fee because I had been just writing the bitch checks and handing them to her. But then the state told me that wasn't good enough because then they couldn't track it and they couldn't prove that I was actually paying my child support. Like, this is all a fucking racket. You're not getting any more money from me than what absolutely is necessary.
That is a massive racket.
Like the like alimony and child support, lawyering stuff and everything, all that's a racket. Completely.
So Jay, how many chickens do you have?
Right now I have 19. We lost a few. One of them just died randomly.
Was it the flu thing or whatever?
No, it was actually
it wasn't the avian flu.
No, she was dead. I went out one morning and she was dead, and then we had another one that didn't make it into the coop one night. So I guess like a fox or something got it because I found a carcass.
You have no relation to that. Sorry.
Yeah.
He must have known something about Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, he had dirt on Hillary, just like Harambe.
We've got 7 chickens now. We had 8, and we had the same thing. One of them didn't come back into the coop one night, and she never came back. But she was also the oldest of the chickens, and she was kind of ornery. So it's very possible that she just said, "Fuck this, I'm out."
was she throwing in the towel?
Just go.
Like, I'm sick of giving you my eggs. I'm done.
That goes out and attacks a fox or coyote or something.
I told on the morning show. I told the story about our bobcat. And that was a lot of fun. We had when we first moved here, we had a bobcat, and at the time we also had a little tiny baby goat. So I can't be having a bobcat. Number one, we got chickens, and number two, we got goats. I can't be having a bobcat prowling around. We've got too many, animals. So we had seen it a couple mornings walking across the little field out here, and so I was sitting in the kitchen one afternoon, and I saw it out by the goat pen. And so I'd been keeping the 22 by the back door anyway, just in case. And so I just grabbed the 22, stepped out on the porch, shot it. Got a pretty good through and through around the chest, gut area, a lot of blood. It ran off into the woods, and I followed it until I was sufficiently convinced that with the amount of blood there was, it probably wasn't going to be returning, either alive or otherwise. There was too much blood. So anyway, chalked it up as a win. Sent my wife a text. I said, we don't have to worry about the bobcat anymore. I took care of it. She said, did you shoot a cat? I was like, yeah, shot a bobcat. She said, our neighbors have a lynx, and they let it prowl around.
Oh, shit.
I was like, a what? And she sent me a picture of it. And it's like a $3,000, like, basically it looks like a fucking bobcat.
Oh, no.
I was like, no, I shot a bobcat. I was like, I know what a bobcat looks like. And I sent her a picture of a bobcat. And then as I looked at the picture of the bobcat and the picture of the lynx, I was like, God, those look like pretty much fucking identical.
Yeah.
The lynx have a little bit, the lynx have a little bit more like fuzz on their ears, but otherwise, like, it's basically the same. I'm like, well, I'm almost positive that I shot a bobcat. And if I didn't, why the fuck are these people letting a $3,000 pet just wander free out here in the middle of nowhere? When
So
Tiger King.
Did your neighbors say anything to you eventually?
No. Later in the week, I saw their lynx on their porch. So that, or else the bobcat moved in. So
the bobcat.
He goes up to the porch and just pops it 6 times.
So it was. Yeah, I'm pretty certain that it wasn't the lynx because I saw a big cat on their porch that appeared to be that thing. So I feel pretty good about it. They never said anything, so I'm gonna assume I won that battle.
What kind of goats do you have? Hey, Justin, what kind of goats do you have? Like what breed?
They're the Nigerian dwarves.
That's what I have. Yeah.
They're cute little.
So what do you do with them?
Just eat them? Milk.
Well, we got a male and a female, so we're breeding them. We sold the last baby that we had. We sold him, made decent little money off of him. The male, usually I just walk out there and punch him in the head and knock him down.
Can you like videotape the goats? Like, it's just. I watch Tim Pool's Chicken City. I watch that at work all the time. That's like the best show in the world.
I walk out there and I put my fist out, and he comes up with his horns and gives me a bump on the fist, and then I can rub him. And if he doesn't want to headbutt, then that means he's not in the friendly mood today. He wants to run away and be a dickhead. Which in the winter, that's usually what he does. He's more friendly in the spring and summer. He's a warm weather goat. When it's cold, he's kind of surly.
So you just breed them and sell the goats. That's the plan with them.
We were also going to milk the female, but this was her first baby, and she was barely producing enough milk just for the baby. So I kind of left it alone. I was like, we'll wait until she's a little bit more mature, and then we'll try to start milking.
Are you gonna do cheese with it, or?
That's the plan.
Why wouldn't you? Like, goat cheese is awesome.
Goat cheese is the best, man. I love.
I've been told that you can. There's some like homemade recipes for like a really nice brie and some other types of cheese from the goat milk. So yeah, that's the plan.
I like to get the goat cheese and melted and have the nachos and put stuff in it and like make it. That stuff's good.
I usually put goat cheese, like the soft goat cheese, and like the eggs, the herb stuff. Throw that in eggs after I make them. You do the same thing, Jay?
No, I plan on doing that with our sheep, but like the goats were kind of my wife's thing. I got a call
Of
when
course.
I went up. Her mom retired and moved down here with us, and I had gone up to Pittsburgh to put everything in a U-Haul. And I hear her mom talking about goats on the phone. I was like, "Who are you talking to goats about?" I was like, "Oh, Carol bought 2 goats." I was like, "Oh, did she? Wish I'd have known that."
Well, with the baby, I told my wife, because these were originally hers, and now I'm the one that feeds them and goes out and plays with them every day, so they're basically mine. But I told her, like with the baby, I said, you have 2 options. Either you sell him, or when he's big enough, I'm gonna eat him. Like, because I'm not doing a goat herd here. We've got the 2, and that's the 2 that we'll keep. Like, if you want to get a third for additional breeding purposes to sell more, cool. Like, you can get another, adult female, and we'll breed multiple goats. But I'm not like raising these things and starting a full on like flock or herd or whatever. Like, either you sell it or I eat it. And he was getting close to eating size when she finally like bit the bullet and sold him. I was like, he's about 3 months away from me hanging his ass in the garage out there and dressing him down, and we're gonna be having roast goat. She's like, "No, you're not doing that." It's like, the options were sell or eat, and you're getting real close to the eating point. So you better.
Well, when
make
you're
a
ready,
choice.
I'll send you some curry. I may have a good recipe for curry.
Hell yeah, that'll be the next one.
Okay. Or we'll just have a party at your house. Everybody come down and we'll have a curry goat party.
That works too. We got enough space here that you could pop up some tents. We could have our own little mini Childerberg.
That'd be good. Do some goat talking and have some chicken and goat hanging out. Your dad come up.
Heck yeah! I mean, you can go climb in the pen and punch him in the head if you want. He thinks it's a game.
Dad sent me pictures of his goats, so
Yeah, we had a
That's
goat
the
growing
nice thing
up.
about goats is if you're having a really bad day, you just go punch them in the head, and they think it's like that's what their head is built for. So they're like, hell yeah, let's do this.
We had a goat growing up, and I remember my uncle would like put on a construction hard hat and like butt heads with him. And then one day we realized that the goat had gotten too big to do that activity with anymore when he knocked my uncle out.
That's the nice
awesome.
thing about the Norwegian dwarves is they won't get too big. Like
they can't rear up over you. They're so short.
Yeah, he's a good size, but he's still just like he's the size of a big dog. He's not, a huge goat,
When we were on vacation a couple of years back, it was probably like close to 6 or 7 years ago, we were staying at this farm in Pennsylvania, and my son was probably 6 at the time. It was probably 10 years ago now. And he let one of the goats out of the pen, so we spent like a half hour trying to like coax him back into the pen. He did not want to have anything to do with that. I got freedom.
They are smart and persistent. Like, if the male, he's usually good about staying in the pen. He doesn't really want to get out and wander around. He's kind of a lazy ass. But the female, she is like constantly patrolling the perimeter of their pen, like trying to figure out how am I going to break out today. And about once every couple months, she finds a spot and figures out how to get out. And then I have to go like, and she's dumb as shit. All I have to do is just walk over there with my hand out with a little bit of food, and she just walks right over to me, and so I pick her up and drop her back in the fence.
Dude, like knock on wood, like they stay in a dog kennel like at night when we put them in, but during the day I put them out with the chickens, and like they're actually trained on the electric poultry netting, which is I think amazing for a goat because those things are like water; they can slip out of anything, or at least they try to.
Yeah. I don't know how she got out the last time. It was earlier this week. I still haven't figured out where the opening is that she got out of. She was just wandering around the yard. I was like, all right, come on, bitch, back in the pen. And I have a nice big open space for them and a big barn that's like a covered barn, and there's a couple like houses for them inside of there. Like they have plenty of space and plenty of covering. They're not in the weather ever unless they just choose to be, which they do regularly. But I mean, they don't have any reason to break out. I think they just I think she just likes to get out because she doesn't go anywhere. Like she just stays right around the pen, or she'll walk over to the yard next door if we're outside doing something, and just walk up to us like, "Hi, I'm out. What do you want to do about it?"
Do you let them out to graze?
No, we
Like in the summer.
it grows to they're right in a, so the yard kind of goes
Got
down
a
a little bit.
pasture or something
Yeah,
like that.
the yard kind of dips a little bit, and where that spot is, I still have to get in there and mow it. Like they can't eat it fast enough to keep it down. So it's I deliberately put the pin where I did because there's tree cover, so they get plenty of shade during the day. It's a very nice, like thick grassy spot, but there's also a little bit of a raise or like a higher ground spot that stays nice and dry. So like I built this thing strategically for that purpose, and it's worked out pretty well so far.
And it doesn't get too cold.
I don't think so. I don't know. It got -6, and they were out in the snow the next day like it was nothing. So
Their fur gets thicker when it gets cold. They
Oh, yeah.
adjust it. Yeah.
well, yeah, and that's come spring, I'll have to get out and brush them because all of that extra thickness will start to kind of come out, and it looks really bad. So he the female doesn't give a shit. Like she thinks she's a lap dog. She comes, and if you go out there and like sit on the bale of hay that I keep out there, she just comes and climbs in your lap and licks your face. She really thinks she's a dog. But he's a little more ornery about it. But he acts like he doesn't like to be brushed. But then as soon as you start brushing him, he really gets into it. He's like, oh. And he starts like rubbing his head on your leg, and he really likes it. But he likes to play hard to get.
And you said you have sheep, Jay?
Yeah. Yeah.
How many?
I just started off with 3, just like
Okay.
a ram and 2 ewes. I wanted to do that as kind of like my little side hustle. You know, if I want to butcher, have some meat, or just sell off whatever I don't need. Of course, I went with like a hair sheep breed, so I don't have to have my ass out there shearing wool. They'll just
Okay.
shed. They'll just shed. But we'll see how that goes. I just got those this past year, so I've never raised sheep before, so it's it's a lot of new stuff to learn because they are weird animals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How so? What do they do?
Sheep are different. We've got a guy that lives about 4 miles down the road. That he's got a bunch of sheep, and he was looking to get rid of a couple, and I considered it and decided against it. Number one, I'm not sure how they would do together. I mean, he keeps goats and sheep together, and they seem to be fine, but I don't know. I was a little bit hesitant with that, and also sheep are sheep are a little bit weird. They're different behavior type of animal.
Yeah, they I just got them where they'll actually come up to me and let me like hand feed them, and we got them in July, and that took from then until now to get them to trust me.
Really?
They're just like they're very untrusting of new people and just anything that looks different out of the usual. They get real skittish,
and they're also kind of
That's because they know
Sure.
you're going to be eating them in the next 6 months.
but to an extent, they're also finicky eaters. Like sheep are very particular. Like goats, it's horrible, and I hate everything about it. But goats are just like they'll just piss and shit wherever, they don't give a fuck. But sheep are really, really particular about that. Like they will not defecate anywhere near their food, and if it happens anywhere near it, then they won't eat the food. Like I mean, that's a good thing, but
Yeah.
it's different for the animal world for sure.
Well, when I'm ready to get my land with my chickens and goats, I'll have to come down and get some training from you guys.
If I knew this was the direction the show would have gone, I would have called it, farm talk with Justin and Jay. You and Trey could just ask us questions about shit. My son said about the morning show that anytime it's like me and Dag left alone to our own devices, we always end up talking about farming. And sure enough, on Wednesday, it was me and Clyde left by ourselves. And you know what we started talking about? Fucking farming. Never fails.
Well, Dag sent me a bunch of seeds.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we did a trade for some coffee. It's the seeds. So I have like my stash of seeds in case things go wrong.
I've got some seeds coming myself from him. And, well, Steve, you are the front end advertisement on the shows. I run the Fox and Sons coffee ad on the front end, but on the back end, we've got the Agorist Acres, which is Dag's seed company. So make sure anybody who's watching this after the fact or listening, check out the ads on either end and go check out our great sponsors, Fox and Sons Coffee and Agorist Acres. Get all of your seeds and coffee needs. All of your beans, all in the same place, or two different places. But
he sent me a ton of stuff I don't even like. I got to look through everything still. I mean, I got a box just like full of crap in there. It's just like, what have I been doing with all this stuff?
We've got a pretty good sized garden, so I'm kind of excited to see what I get because here in the next month or so, probably end of February, early March, we'll get out and start tilling stuff up and start doing some prep work and getting the garden ready. So we
can start that early down there,
huh? We'll start planting in mid to late April on some stuff.
Everything's still frozen here in April. Well, although haven't had a winter. We had one good snow and that was it.
Well, that's what happens when you live in Canada.
Canada.
Yes, it's close enough. I used to live right next to Canada, but in Detroit, so.
So you're not a Youper?
No. I'm West Michigan. I'm actually Mark. I live probably 20 minutes from Mark.
Cool. Yeah, I got friends that are from Petoskey.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's about 4 hours from me. Cool area.
I need to make a trip up there. I haven't ever been to Michigan, and Mark and I have talked about next year since we went to the Mississippi State game this year. Next year, me heading up that way, and we go to a Michigan game, which that would be pretty cool. Hopefully, I'll get to meet Trey here sometime in a few months. I've gone to the Mises meetup in Birmingham the past 2 years. Took my son a couple years ago, and then Stephanie and I went last year. So, talk Trey into coming over to Birmingham and coming to the Mises meetup.
Yeah, go to that hellhole.
Mises Caucus or Mises?
Mises Institute.
Oh yeah,
yeah, the Mises Institute. Yeah,
I'd say if it's the caucus, I don't know about this.
Last year it wasn't in Birmingham itself. It was just outside the. There's like a big like race car museum or something. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, the motorsports hall, like whatever, the Barber Motorsports Hall of Fame or something.
Is that?
Oh my gosh, that thing was incredible.
That's Jeff Dice, right? That's his group.
Yeah.
Okay, when I went to the Tom Woods event, Jeff Dice, for as like high up as he is in that whole world, he is like the most down to earth person. He walked right up to me, shook my hand, introduced himself. And like nobody else in that world did that at all. He was the only person to actually walk up and like just. I was sitting talking to one of his friends, so he did that. But that was kind of cool. He's actually really. I was really appreciative of just his whole attitude.
The first Mises meetup that we went to, the one that I took my son to. So when we were on the way down there, Buck was going to be one of the speakers there.
Corey D'Angelo?
No. Thomas. He wrote a book on communism. Now I'm drawing a complete blank. Anyway, Buck was going to be there. Pete was going to be there. Jeff Dice was going to be there. There were a bunch of people there. And so on the drive down, Sean was like, "Who are all these people that we're going to be meeting here?" I was like, "Well, they've all got podcasts. We'll listen to an episode of all their shows. That way you kind of have an idea of like who they are and what they talk about." And he loved the Human Action podcast. For some reason, like the book review stuff and Jeff's the way Jeff explains stuff and talks about stuff. He really latched onto that, and he was like, "Oh, that's my favorite one of all of those, like by far." I was like, "Well, when we get there, like, introduce yourself to him." So, because I had actually just like sent him a message on Twitter to get the tickets to it, because at the time when I found out about it, it was showing sold out, and so I just sent him a message on Twitter. I was like, "Is it actually sold out?" Like, my son and I would really like to attend, and I really want to bring my son. I think this would be a cool experience for him. And he was like, "Yeah, I'll hook you up," and like gave me the phone number for the girl who I needed to talk to get the tickets, and like hooked it up completely. Really cool. So I was like, when we get there, just like introduce yourself to him. Like, walk up and tell him that your show is his show is your favorite podcast to listen to. And when we got there and we saw him, I was like, there he is. That's Jeff. I was like, go introduce yourself. He's like, no, I can't do that. I was like, fine then. I'm gonna go do it. So I walked over and shook his hand and told him, and I was like, that's my son. Your show is his favorite show. He was like, tell him come over here. I was like, I've been trying. I'll go tell him again, but he wouldn't do it. And then a couple months later, we saw Jeff again at the Pennsylvania Libertarian State Convention, and so I had Stephanie take a picture of me and Jeff, and then I sent it to him. I was like, hey, I'm getting to hang out with your favorite podcaster again, the one that you won't talk to. He was like, "Oh, you suck." I don't know why he's so shy. Like, because I'm the polar opposite of that. Like, it doesn't matter who it is. I'll walk up and talk to anybody. That's why I do this show. And I say all the time, like, I will literally platform anybody. I damn near posted the link just straight to my Twitter to see who would
join. All of a sudden, you get some crazy feminist that hates you.
That'd be fun. That would be a lot of fun.
I can't imagine that they would actually put themselves through that, because then they would have to have a real conversation without the filter of
like on your platform, like not like on their platform where they can
where they don't have any control over it, and also they don't have all of their simps to like
like be beta for them basically.
Right.
When does he do that? The Mises thing. When does he do that every year?
This one's April 22nd.
Yeah, the one in Birmingham is on the 22nd. So
I might have to go down for that then.
Yeah, I went ahead and I registered. Hopefully, me and my wife can both go.
That's the plan. Is I'm gonna take the wife, and then if at the last minute she decides she doesn't want to go, I've got the kids that weekend, so I can just grab my son and take him. Or I might take my daughter. She's my favorite kid anyway, so she doesn't get to go to any of this stuff. I might just tell all of them, like, fuck off, I'm taking her.
That's funny. So, in that same time where I met Jeff, do you guys know Mike Meharry?
Uh-huh.
So I was talking with Mike Meharry because Mike and I have been talking for a couple months before that previously, and Michael Bolden was sitting next to him, but I've never seen Michael Bolden. I've just heard him on podcasts. So I walk up and I'm like, "Hey, Mike!" And Bolton stands up and puts his hand out, and I just walk right by him. and like, he looked so shocked. He was like, "Who is this guy?" He's like going to say hi to me, and I just walked right by him and give Mike Meharry a big hug. He's just like, everybody just starts cracking up because I still didn't know who this guy was. I had no clue it was him. So
yeah, I got to meet Mike at Alan Mosley's live show this past summer. I actually took my son with me to that, and that was a ton of fun.
That one sounds like it'd be fun. I've been listening to his show after we did that one with him on it. I've been listening to his show. His show is great.
Yeah, he probably puts out some of the best content in our sphere, and is like way underappreciated for what he does. Like,
did he left like the LP stuff? Like, he was doing that and then kind of walked away from it to do this show? Or
so his show used to be called The Gold Standard, and it was very libertarian based. And then he decided he wanted to go in a different direction. So that's when he started doing the
sort of comedy.
Yeah, more of a. He wanted to do it more of a late night TV show type thing. It's too late. So it's too late with Alan Mosley, and it's I think Craig Kilborn is his primary inspiration for like the way he does the show, and it's really, I mean, it is superb. production, and I mean,
And-
I put no effort into producing my own show whatsoever. So like the amount of work that goes into making one of his episodes is impressive. And he has a really strong community, people that follow him on like Discord and Twitch and everywhere else. And like
did the
live-
LP kind of like trash him for doing that or what?
well, he kind of moved away from being super supportive of the LP because of some of the.
So he woke up like the rest of us, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's one of the posties, but probably
Yeah.
wouldn't. He probably wouldn't claim.
He
that.
wouldn't say that.
Yeah, he wouldn't. He probably
publicly.
wouldn't take that moniker because it's too cringe. But he's one of us.
Okay. Yeah, because I was in that side of the group for about 6 months, maybe 8 months, and I was after that long. I'm like, no, I don't belong in this group.
It's. Did we all just kind of move in that same direction over like a similar time period? I think.
With what within the last 2 years?
Yeah, well, you
Yeah.
know, like when everything was crazy and it was lockdown mania, I really started listening to a lot of Dave Smith. I started listening to a lot of Malice. I started listening to like a lot of that stuff. And then that was when the Mises Caucus had a bunch of stuff going on with like a big money bomb, and it was like an all-day event for one of their things. It was on like all of it was on YouTube, and I happened to be off work that day. So I was just like sitting at home watching all the stuff and getting excited and like getting on the Facebook stream of all of it and commenting, and like it was incredible. And they were saying all the things that I've been thinking and wanting to hear, and even like having kind of identified as libertarian-ish for a couple years prior to that. Because I basically like said when the Republicans nominated Mitt Romney in 2012, I was like, "Fuck you, you're useless."
Yeah,
So,
you're dead to me. That's
yeah.
exactly
Yeah, so-
where I was at that point.
So I was like, just done with it entirely for a while.
I dealt with
and then-
McCain, but that one pissed me off.
Yeah, McCain pissed me off. Romney was just like the straw that broke the camel's back. It was
Yeah.
like, could you pick a more milquetoast, just like pissant of a human being for your candidate? Like,
Well, you knew they
But
weren't
he has
serious.
binders
As soon as
full
they
of
picked him,
women.
as soon as they picked him, you knew they weren't serious about winning. The
right.
second they
yeah.
picked him.
So anyway, I was pretty just completely out of everything entirely until late 15 and into 16, whenever like the Trump was starting to come on the scene, and it looked like things were going to be interesting. But even then, I was more of a Constitution Party kind of guy. Like I knew what the Libertarian Party was, and they aligned with a lot of the things that I believed in. But when I looked at the party itself, I was like, God, this thing is fucking useless. Like, why would anybody? It's like, why would anybody support that? Like,
Yeah.
The ideas and the principles and the things that they believe in are perfect.
But
then
they don't
when you
believe
look-
in it, but they don't do it.
But then when you look at the party itself, it's like, that's not what I was seeing.
Then
in
they
the-
have a Speedo guy gyrating on the.
yeah. So I
Well,
was
and
like,
half of them are
Um,
okay with pedos too. So it's like
I was like,
how
the
hell can
Libertarian
you-
thing is good, but the Libertarian Party is fucking trash. So I just kind of
Cringe.
didn't want to have anything to do with it. So
I guess
I
I'm in
identified
a-
as a Constitution Party at the time, even though it's like maybe the I don't know 15th
dead.
largest. Yeah, there's the Constitution Party is like it's like Uber boomers. It's they believe in all the right things, but God, there is no potential for any sort of traction within that party because
Yeah.
they're all literally 75 years old or more. Like these people fought in World War II.
Wasn't that Ross Perot's? Wasn't that his party?
I don't know. I don't know. I
Well, he
wasn't
was
old enough to
Reform
remember what-
Party.
Is it Reform? Sorry,
Yeah,
it's
I think it was
Reform.
reform.
But so anyway, when the Mises Caucus was coming on strong there in 2020, it's like, okay, if these are the people that are going to be running the Libertarian Party, then I could be on board with that because they actually seem to like believe in the things that are supposed to be the foundational principles of libertarianism.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I can get on board with that. But then, like, as things move forward,
You
It,
realize it's like
It's still
second
the-
verse same as the first.
yeah, it's
Yep.
still the same. Like, it's still the same useless instrument that's not going to accomplish anything. Like, it's so there has to be a better way, especially coming out of 2020, when you're looking at the way the government, especially like state governments. I mean, I live in Indiana. It's a red state. It is always going to be a red state. It will never be anything but a red state at this point. Like, it doesn't matter what the influence of Gary and Bloomington and Indy is. It's never going to overwhelm the entire rest of the state. Like,
Yeah, that's like Alabama. Like it's a red state. Like they're even the blue people, like blue pilled people. Like they're like NPCs. They will move out because like the abortion ban or this or that. They don't like it's a red state, and yet still we had Kay Ivey who locked down and
right,
did masks
we had Holcomb, who locked the state down for, I think, 11 months or more. Like, it was, we were on basically full lockdown. So like, that was when you started to realize, like, and we had a fantastic Libertarian Party candidate for for the governor's spot here in the state, and he got
who was that?
Donald Rainwater.
Okay, I remember the name.
He got 13 or 14% of the vote, like the most votes a Libertarian candidate, or the highest percentage of the vote a Libertarian Party candidate had ever gotten for a governorship. But I mean, Holcomb, as bad as he was, still got 63 or 64% of the vote. Like, and that was when it was like this in my brain. It was like, okay, you can run the best candidate who in both of the debates in the like post-debate polling, 80% of the people voting in the polls said he won the debates easily. Like, it wasn't even close. He absolutely mopped the floor with the Republican and the Democrat in both debates, and he still only got 13%.
Mm-hmm.
Like, all right, so there has to be a better solution, right? Like, if you can't win in that way, what's the way that you can win? And the way that you can win is you have to start local, and you have to like overrun your local GOP and turn it into the thing that it should be, instead of the soft, flaccid thing that it is. And if you can do that, then that can spread. And the only people who were promoting that kind of a message were Pete and Matt and all the like post-libertarian types. So and at first I was kind of opposed to a lot of that stuff. I was like, man, they're just trying to shit on the LP. And then and the LP and the Mises caucus. And then the more I started looking at it, it's like, well, they're the only ones that are presenting actual like practical application for how we move from where we are to where we want to be. Like, strong messaging is just hopes and dreams, and you have to at some point you have to put boots on the ground and go fucking do something about
But they
it.
can't even do strong messaging because you have Smith who says one thing, but then you have the rank and file of the Mises caucus that totally go against that. So you don't even have the same. You have Smith saying one thing, and then they're completely saying something different, and they're not even following what they want, what they're saying that they want.
Yeah, I was actually pleasantly surprised by the ALGOP. Like they said that they wanted to oust McDaniel. Basically, they didn't say that. They didn't say but they said we need a new chair. So, like I was actually pleasantly surprised with them, because like ALGOP is kind of like they're usually corpo, like they're usually the neocon type of thing, but like it seems like they're moving in some of the right direction. If you could keep Mitch McConnell's money out of the state, like if you could keep him from screwing with everything and getting Katie Britt, who is apparently just another shill that basically Richard Shelby appointed himself. He was crap the whole time he was there. So, I mean, but like you said, like it's starting local, and that's why like in here in a couple years, the 2025 apparently. I don't know why 2025. Apparently, they moved it back a year for the city council for where I live. So
probably had something to do with COVID.
Well, no, they actually it's not even related to that. They said we want to like have an off year or so. I don't know what it was, like something about like they didn't want to have election fatigue. I don't get it.
Well, I think what I mean,
But yeah,
Pete's-
that's why I'm wanting to run is like get involved that way, and okay, get in city council, then I can actually do something like with it.
I think Pete's right on that. Like, you got to run local offices. You got to run for sheriff. You got to run for city council, school boards. That's where you're going to make the changes. That's what the Democrats did in the 60s. They ran for those offices and those seats. They took those seats, and now, I mean, look where we're at now.
So we're
It'll be
kind of
the most
moving in a
based dog
direction.
catcher ever.
Huh?
I said I'll be the most based dog catcher ever for the town.
So we're kind of moving in a direction that was the original intent of the show anyway. So what I was gonna talk to Don about was the GOP taking the House, all of the bullshit surrounding McCarthy getting the speakership and the concessions that they gave up with all of that, and kind of the fallout from that, and what's happened over the last week or so. And then I want to kind of talk about things moving forward. So I think, like, for y'all, let's kind of focus on that. The moving forward part of it is, what's going to happen over the next 2 to 4 to 6 years, because I sincerely think that we're going to see a full-blown economic collapse within the next 2 years. And so my theory coming into the 2022 election was that the Democrats were going to give up the House and the Senate, and then in 2024 they were going to give up the White House as well. That way, when the whole thing falls apart in 2025, they can be like, "Wasn't us. Look who's in charge. It's all of the Republicans. They're the ones who did this. Now you need to vote for us in 2026 and 2028 and put us back in power so that we can fix this problem."
See, I don't even think we felt the I don't think we felt.
I think that's their
hit.
cycle, though. Like that, I think that's their way of doing it. Because you saw like how after having a booming economy with Trump, and then they were like, oh, look at all this turmoil, look at all this chaos, and that they basically caused. Oh, look at all this turmoil, this chaos, look at all this media headlines and all this stuff with Trump Twitter, all this kind of stuff that they've all created. And then they go, oh, well, you need us to be back in charge, so that way we can be, the adults be back in the room. And then once they do that, then they screw it up, and then basically play this same song and dance again.
Yeah, but I think we have another year to feel the hit of shutting down everything in 2020 still. I think it's at least another year before that actually really hits. I think we're getting the beginning ripple effect on that.
I think we're still feeling effects from 2008. I think we're still feeling some of those effects too. I think this is a compounded thing that we've had going since.
Well, yeah. So that's the thing is 2008 when that happened, they dropped interest rates. They did all of this stuff, like everything. All of the economic growth that we've seen since 2008 is completely manufactured. None of it is real.
It's fake.
So
synthetic.
So all of this coming to a head and then having shutdowns and everything else in 2020, that basically took this bubble that they've been slowly inflating for the last 12 years. And then they basically just took and stuck the
like a cartoon,
just like slowly giving it a little blow and just blowing it up, and then somebody grabbed the air compressor and just stuck it on there and was like, let's just bust it as fast as we can. That's effectively what happened, and so that's why we're seeing it all seem to come to such a massive head all at once, is because it's not 2 years of this all being blown up. It's 12 years of it all being blown up, and then it just
basically
burst.
pop finishing it off.
Yeah.
Well, do you think it's from 08 or you think it starts from the beginning of the Iraq War and stuff?
See, I think economically as a country we were still pretty sound at that point. I think from like
$1 trillion in debt, you're still sound. I mean,
yeah.
Well, I mean, at
the
start of it, because we were coming off of, supposedly anyway, we were coming off of Clinton surpluses. So at the start of the Iraq War, we were in decent shape. It was around 2005 was when we were was the war had stretched too far, and it was too much. It was becoming too much of a burden. And then that's when you started having all the subprime loans and all of the government debt consolidation type of stuff that was happening. That
Which
really
the
built up
subprime
to
loans
that.
comes from the
war.
Frank Dodd bill. That whole thing comes from that Frank Dodd bill.
Right.
But you
like,
have the war spending combined with the the subprime mortgage crisis and all that in 08, all of that kind of compounded together into into a worse economy. And then following that bad economy, essentially we didn't really do anything to recover. And so that's why like basically the Trump economy was booming because we'd been waiting for something to
right,
kind of
because
be
after
unleashed.
2008, they didn't actually do anything to fix the problem. They slapped a Band-Aid on a broken leg and said, "All right, let's keep rolling, baby. It's fine. You can walk it off." And instead of trying to walk it off, they tried to make us run it off until we like ran it into completely broken in half. Did you see that video of that guy that it was like, what was it? I can't remember what sport he was playing, but it was some dude playing something, and it might have been badminton. I don't know. Anyway, where he broke his. Oh, it was the rock climbing guy. He was like climbing a rock wall, and he fell off the wall and like literally broke his foot all the way off.
Oh shit!
Yeah, so that's our that's 2020 in a nutshell. It's like we've been climbing this wall, and then we fell off and just snapped it straight off.
So how bad do you think it's going to get, and what do you think Congress is going to do to make it worse? Because they're never going to be able to fix it. They like every time they do
Well,
it.
it's because the Fed.
Hold on. Here's the proof of everything they do. Like you vote 15 times, you expect a different result, or it's 14 times expecting different results on like the McCarthy thing. Like that's proof alone that they are so stupid and so inept that they can't do something right.
So wait. Here's one thing that I think they can do. Like if they could actually, if the Republicans, if they retain the House and if they can get the Senate in 24 and the presidency, then
they'll do exactly what they did when they had it with Trump. Exactly, they'll do absolutely fucking nothing.
Listen. If they can get the Fair Tax Act passed, if by some metric of the imagination, like let's just humor me, if they actually passed the fair tax and did something like that, it would result in a better economic situation because
but they won't. They'll send more stimulus checks out. Trump will have his name on new stimulus checks, or DeSantis at that point. And at that point too, in 2024. If DeSantis and the Republicans are in charge, we'll be in war in Iran. We will.
See, here's the thing.
Guarantee we will be.
All right,
with Trump, no.
I think
with
the
DeSantis,
reason,
maybe.
I think the reason that the Democrats didn't give up on the Senate and held it is because they saw what was going on with the kind of the new right movement, the Vance, Masters, Getz, like the people who are opposing the super squishy, moderate rhino
until
type.
A week ago,
GOP.
you'd say Green, but now she's out of that.
Right. I mean, but Boebert's still in it. You have a very core group that. Well, and like you said, like up until a week ago, you just said Green, you just said Massey, you just said a lot of other.
Every time you say Boebert, I think of that picture of her and
the
Kyle.
Virginian.
Yeah, no, what's the one with the kid that shot the guys in Wisconsin? What was his
Kyle
name?
Rittenhouse.
Yeah, picture of him and the eye control picture. You remember that one?
No, that's not Boebert though.
I thought that was her.
No.
Oh, sorry.
Chick.
So I think coming into the 2022 election, the Democrats were sitting there looking at that contingent, and we're probably thinking that something like what happened with the speaker selection was going to happen. They're like, these people actually wield some power, and if we let them get control of the House and the Senate with these people,
we're screwed.
We're fucked because that's what you could kind of rely on, was that if you gave the Republicans the House and the Senate for the next 2 years and then gave them the presidency in 2024, by 2025, everything's still going to collapse. They're not going to actually fix any of the problems. But if you put these people the ones who are making the most noise in the House right now, the ones who are being the problem children of the GOP and not letting things move forward status quo, if you give them enough power and you let them control both chambers of the House, and
They
then
might
you
fix something.
and then you give them the presidency too, they might fix something. And then you're not going to be sitting here in 2026 saying, look, they were the ones holding the bag. They completely fucked it up. You're going to be stuck sitting there saying, they fixed it. But now
we need 100 more people like those.
agreed.
10.
But now now the Democrats put themselves in the position where they're going to be the contrarians who are holding things up. And so now in 2024, whenever the House is going to push through things that might actually be beneficial, at least for the next 6 to 10 months. I think McCarthy is going to turn into Rhino McCarthy that we expected him to be at some point. But
in
for
4
the time
months,
being,
in 4
for the
months,
time being-
he'll be doing that.
For the time being, he has to play nice with his detractors. So anyway, what they'll be able to hang their hat on is in 2024, they can say, look, we tried to pass all of this stuff that would have fixed things, and then the Democrats shot it down in the Senate. So the Democrats kind of fuck themselves both ways. Like, either you give the Republicans control
everything,
and then they fix it, or have the opportunity to fix it, or you deny them that control, and then you're gonna be the heel in this, because then they can say, look, we tried to do all these things, and then they shot it down in the Senate. They're the ones who are holding back actual progress and recovery and economic recovery. So, for a political party that has been very long-sighted in terms of seeing the big picture beyond just the next election, but actually, we can't act like all of this progressivism just happened in the last 5 years. This has been,
and we can't act like it's just the Democrats either.
But it's been 30 years in the making. They've been playing the long game. And whereas the Republicans, their biggest shortfall is they keep trying to play nice to do good in the next election, without realizing that the longer you're playing nice, the more you're setting yourself back.
Well, they keep trying to play nice because they're afraid to be calling racist. That's why they're trying to play nice, is because they're afraid to be called, and every day they're called racist. It's like, do you guys not see this? This is not a winning.
They have to embrace the racism. I mean, my clan hood is in that closet right over there. I mean, I'm kidding. By the way, I don't know how well y'all.
It's getting dry. It's getting dry cleaned right now. It's not really back there.
That's actually my gun closet, but that's neither here nor there.
But I mean, but you say they've been playing the long game for 30 years. They've been playing it for 50 years when they started taking over
longer than
Board
that.
of Education.
The civil rights movement was the civil righse movement was step one.
Yeah, but they're starting to take the.
I actually think it was more like step 3, because they'd been trying early on with I think this goes way farther back than we would even think. Honestly, back early 1900s.
Well, Woodrow Wilson.
I was gonna say, we can't go back 18. You can't say that
the
they had
1800s.
any kind of a 1800s. They didn't have any kind of an organization at that time. You didn't even have 2 major parties. It
was a mix of a bunch of different.
Right. Abraham Lincoln won with 30% of the vote or something. He didn't even have half the country. It just so happened that he was in such a diluted field that he was the one that ended up with the most. People think Lincoln was
a great leader, great winner.
Yeah, I mean, you would think from the way they talk about Lincoln, he won 90% of the vote.
You would think he won the country.
It was a 1984 Reagan landslide, where he won 50.
You would think that he won the country over with his
45.
Gonna save the
Charisma.
Union thing, and then it turns out he was out of a field of 6, he was the one that got
and
the most.
Wasn't it on the third? Wasn't there a? No, it was the primary. He was the 3rd or 4th pick in the primary. He didn't even get the primary. The primary wasn't even him. It was by default. He got it, I think.
Yeah, because didn't something happen, and the people that finished ahead of him in the primary had to drop out for varying reasons?
I think they died. I think the person that won actually died, and then he got put in.
Yeah, it just ended up being well, I guess we're stuck with you because we don't have anybody else. and it's too late to go back and
Backwoods
vote
Kentucky
again.
log boy.
And if you look into what he did with the when he freed the slaves, he didn't free the slaves in the northern states or not
No.
in the southern states or no. Yeah, in the northern
I did an
states.
episode on this. Yes, so
New
the
Jersey
wording
and,
and the way that the Emancipation Proclamation works, he only freed slaves in rebelling states,
Yep.
which though
Smart.
he did,
Very
which he
smart.
didn't even have jurisdiction to do that because they were no longer they
Part
had
of the US.
disaffiliated. They were no
Yeah.
longer a part of the United States. They were the Confederacy. So he didn't even have the authority to do that anyway. And people act like. So I actually had this conversation with some people, some black friends of mine back on Juneteenth because they had never heard of Juneteenth. They're like, "What is this Juneteenth?"
Are you pulling out the I have black friends now?
No, they actually work for me. I'm more of a slave master than anything. But anyway, I was explaining, like, they were like, "What's Juneteenth?" Because somebody was talking about it for some reason. I was like, "Oh, y'all really don't know what that is?" No, they're making it a national holiday, and this is literally the first time we've ever heard of it. I was like, all right, so I explained to them Juneteenth, and then I was like, did you know about the Emancipation Proclamation? And then I explained all that to them. They're like, are you fucking kidding me? I was like, no, like that's Indiana was not a rebelling state. If you were alive in the 1860s when the Civil War was going on, you would not have been freed. You were still a slave. They were like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" I was like, "No, the state of Maryland was in the Union, and it was like the third largest slaveholding state in the Union, or like in all of the United States. Like,
Yeah.
nobody talks about that shit, and none of them got freed. They were all still slaves. In fact, they were being signed up and forced to go fight for the Union Army against.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like force
Nobody
enlisted.
talks about any of that though. And then if I talk about it, I'm a fucking racist, and then that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, that's because
How did they take it? How did were they just like confused or
They're like, how do you know all this stuff? I was like, I just like read. It's like, see, this is the stuff that they don't teach you in school. Like, this is the stuff that you have to go find the actual like books on the people who were alive during the time wrote on the thing, because like there are historical archives of this stuff that the people who were alive at the time were writing about it. You didn't have podcasts and blogs and stuff like that. Like there are literal books that were written on this stuff, and then that stuff has actually been preserved relatively well. Like there's all kinds of information, but that information gets completely whitewashed over to paint this picture of slavery and blah blah blah, and like Lincoln was some fucking hero and whatever.
No, luckily, in Virginia, like I felt like we had a good public school system where I grew up, where they actually were more unbiased about teaching the Civil War.
I would hope
Plus,
so.
like-
I mean, it would be a shame if Robert E. Lee's like home state did not teach the truth about that stuff.
all I got was propaganda. All I got was the propaganda. But I would say, like, I'm much older. I think much older than most of you. I'm 50.
Oh
So,
gosh.
yeah.
I mean, I'm a grandpa, but you're for real grandpa.
See, I got the in Alabama, like it was a little bit of both. Like you got kind of mostly like, oh yeah, the Union, Abraham Lincoln, he reunited everything. But then you also got like, well, we had good Confederate leaders, and they had a reason to, but they didn't say the exact most.
Well, I think that's because you were in the South. Like I grew up in the North. I mean, like everything was like the South was evil and bad and wanted slavery, and we were good, and we fought them and destroyed them. And the same with the Indians. It was like, yeah, we just came over and took over. And everything. Like they didn't really teach any of the, like the stuff about the war, the blankets and stuff like that. And I didn't really understand any of that until later in life. Like, but I also remember, I don't know if we were raised with more of a rose-colored look on the U.S. too. Like, I mean, there was pride. I mean, I was 4 when 1976 was, but I remember everywhere the bicentennial, like the flags everywhere for 1976, like 200 years. I mean, it was a huge, huge thing. I remember people like being proud that, like, we're a country 200 years old. It's America. It's great, and now it's like everybody just shits on it, and we're the worst racist country in the world, even though we also prop everybody up and
Everybody wants to come here.
yeah.
Well,
we don't
I
have to
think
come
I
there.
think that's like part of that long con, though. Like that's part of the long con of like sort of the Democrat progressive like idea is just to destroy, and then try to hope that you can rebuild it and progress forward or in whatever way. The only problem is all of them are a bunch of
They
idiots.
they just want to make us. I don't think they're idiots. I think that they're very
No,
smart
they're
with the way going
very
about it. No, I think they're very smart with the way they're going about it, because the people are actually the ones in charge of all of that aren't actually the faces that you see. They're just not. You don't see those faces. I mean, you see.
Well, it's all
you see
financial.
clouds
Like, so
now.
here's the funny thing is that there's a reason that the George Soros thing is a big deal, like among a lot of like boomer-con Republicans, because financial systems are way more, like the financial backing of things is way more important than anything else. Like being able to back something financially is way more important than building anything necessarily. Like having that financial structure, backing those candidates, backing that you want to win back, and then if they sign the legislation that you want, basically, obviously that comes with strings. Like when George Soros is donating somebody, he's expecting them to vote a certain way and do the things that he wants to do.
Well, I mean, they all do that. Whether they're
but I'm saying, like,
always want
when you
to
have
vote.
financial, like if that's why, like, the financial sector, that's why the ESG scores, that's why all of this like sort of stuff is being backed in this way. So if you can back companies based on their ESG score and you can do all this kind of stuff, essentially the financial markets are going to control what is being produced and control what you want to see out of both the politicians and out of the private sector. So you have you're playing both sides of the field with that financial like support, and that's a lot of what it seems like that they're having to do.
Yeah, I mean, it already is. Like everything is. You can't even watch a TV show now without social justice or like every couple's gay on it, and there's
Well, like,
literally
they
no hetero couples ever.
They need
on
to
TV
really
anymore.
start losing money to like start changing like the stuff in entertainment and everything.
Disney did
That
that.
won't
That's
work.
why
That
they
won't work.
fired.
That
that
won't work.
won't work.
Look
Yeah.
at-
Well,
look
it
at
won't
the
work
com-
for
look
Disney
at the-
because of the parks.
Look at the
and
comic
they're
book
bleeding.
companies. Look at the comic book companies. They have been hemorrhaging money for a decade because they keep pushing the social justice, woke, progressive bullshit. People don't want it, won't read it, won't buy it. And what
And
do
do
they
you
do?
know why?
They keep doubling down and doing more of it. Like,
But then
Do you
you
know why?
have
Do you
but
know
then you
why?
have
'Cause
July
they still-
come out and make how much? What did he make? Like $3 million on that first
That-
release.
in a fucking week.
Yeah.
But still, that's chump change compared to what Marvel makes
Right.
overall. Because they realize now, okay, we can make movies. Our movies make more money than the comic book division.
Yeah, but
anyway.
nobody's going to see the movies anymore.
And then
They are.
B, it doesn't matter. Yeah, they're still going.
Not like they
we
were.
may not. Well, I mean, they're not getting in-game numbers every time, but like people are still they still make millions, like millions and millions. But anyway, like even with the comic book division, okay, what they do is they can still have sales. What they do is they sell them to schools, they sell them to libraries, they sell them to all these public institutions, and they basically can like write it off and say like, okay, we made this much in sales, and all those sales are to a library or wherever. It's not actual people buying the comic books.
Well,
but they
that's
can
how.
put
I
that
mean,
on-
that's how Hillary Clinton sold, 100,000 books.
Yeah,
It was just all that stuff. I mean, that's how they're doing it. But eventually, it will catch up with them. You don't think it? You don't think it will?
No.
Because eventually, there's eventually somebody's going to say, "I'm not buying this anymore."
Okay. The Eternals, which is arguably the worst Marvel movie ever fucking made.
30
It's-
minutes. We made it 30
I don't know.
minutes
There was
into
that
one.
David Hasselhoff Nick Fury movie.
That That wasn't terrible.
David
Uh,
Hasselhoff.
for the time, it wasn't terrible. How about
Wait, which one was that?
It was Nick
came
Fury.
out in like the 80s.
It was 98. It came out the same year
was
as,
it?
the first,
98?
as the first Blade. Watch those two movies side by side and compare the quality. It's hilarious.
Blade
The
was
first
way
was
better.
fucking amazing. So anyway, the
I like
Eternals,
Blade
which
3.
is arguably the worst Marvel movie. Okay,
That was
definitely the
bad.
worst Marvel movie made in like current Marvel iteration. It's still netted $200 million. Like they're making money hand over fist, even on the shittiest product that they put out.
How did anybody sit through that movie? I made it maybe 30 minutes, and I was like, I just can't. We tried to go back and watch it again. We couldn't do it. Like, it was so bad. We just could not.
We got halfway through it, and I paused it, so because Stephanie needed to pee or something, and I wanted to get I wanted to fix some food, and I paused it. And when I hit pause on it, it showed how much time was left in the movie, and she was like, holy shit, how have we been sitting here for an hour and a half and they haven't done any fucking thing? It's like, what's going on with this thing? She's like, I don't know if I can finish this movie. I was like, we're gonna finish it. We're just gonna fucking do it. All right, we're gonna get our food and we're gonna sit down and we're gonna knock this thing out and we're gonna be done with it. And oh my god, it was a chore. It was a fucking chore.
I didn't even watch. Was it Marvel, Miss Marvel, or Captain Marvel, or Miss Marvel, or whatever?
Miss Marvel was actually better than I expected. So I watched that with my son, and we actually enjoyed it. It
really?
was.
I just had no interest in watching
it at all.
all.
It focuses on Indian culture and the dot not the woo woo.
Dot not feather. Dot not feather.
Yeah. So it's hard to make that woke. Like you would have to really alienate anybody from that demographic in order to make that woke. Like it's not a super progressive friendly type of a culture. So it was very
They
very well
They
done.
didn't lean into the female power thing like they did with
She's
Captain Marvel.
supposedly like the
No, it
most
wasn't-
powerful person in the world in the universe, whatever.
You're talking about Captain Marvel. We're talking about Miss
Yeah.
Marvel.
Miss
Yeah,
Marvel.
Miss Marvel's
Captain Marvel.
Wait,
was
which
trash.
one's that? Miss Marvel. I thought it was the same thing.
That's
Miss
Danvers,
Marvel
the blonde.
was the series.
Oh, I didn't
yeah,
watch
that
that.
one.
Yeah, Miss Marvel's the one that she has like growing powers, like she can like grow and like make big fists and all this kind of stuff.
Well, that
Hey,
whole
Captain
character is
Marvel
the
was trash, and they
self-insert.
totally leaned into the women's.
Oh,
lib
I'm sorry.
stuff.
That's what I meant. I apologize.
No,
We got
yeah, that
like
was
probably
trash.
15 minutes into She-Hulk and just could not go any further with that one.
I finished She-Hulk, and
That is time in your life you'll never get back.
I should have taken my own advice and stopped after episode 1, but I thought maybe there's a chance that like it'll get better. Like they'll figure it because
And then
like,
you
with
see She-Hulk twerking
so like because
with
I
CGI.
know people had a lot of problems with Captain America and what was it? No,
Captain Marvel.
Falcon and the Winter Soldier,
Oh.
like the
Oh, yeah.
series. I know a lot of people had problems with that, but it ended up being a decent series. Like it rounded itself out pretty strong, and
Well, he's a
some
good
of the-
actor.
right, and some of the woke bullshit that came into play in the early episodes.
Oh, he didn't have any money for a load or whatever.
Either they put it into a context that gave it some meaning and made it make sense, where that it wasn't just like woke for the sake of being woke. Like it actually played well with the backstory of some of the characters and who they were and where they were. And like that series started very rocky, and then I thought it finished up at least moderately cleanly. Like it wasn't.
I've heard it was better than expected.
Yeah,
Jay,
it
I
wasn't
didn't catch
terrible.
what you said. What did you say a second ago?
Oh, I was just making fun about the earlier episode of that
Oh.
when he couldn't get a bank loan.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
my
Like
God.
they end up redeeming themselves, and it's a good series. So I'm sitting there with She-Hulk thinking, all right, maybe this is going to be like they're going to do the first 2 or 3 episodes, and they're going to be absolute horse shit, just trash.
I
But
don't-
they'll
when she was-
figure out that people don't like this, and they'll fix it. but that was not the case. at
Well,
all.
now anytime you don't like something, it's review bombing. It's you don't like it because there's a strong female character.
Yeah,
Like, that's what
they
they say now, and it's like, no, I don't like it because it sucks ass. Like it's horrible horseshit, and you keep shoving that down our throats, and it's just there's no point in watching that stuff anymore.
I think the worst thing that She-Hulk did for me was it ruined like one of my favorite characters, Daredevil.
Yes.
Oh,
was he in it?
Yeah.
Yeah. You if you like Daredevil, I suggest you not watch it.
Daredevil was great.
Apparently, they're going to try to reboot his.
Yeah, they're going to reboot it, but Daredevil was really good. I liked the second, was it Luke Cage? The second season of Luke Cage was really good. The music in it was phenomenal.
Yeah.
But second season was better than the first season. Iron Fist just sucked. The guy was like just a bitch during the whole, like, his character was
Iron
horrible.
Fist is such a good character, and they did it so bad. Jessica Jones was good too. It was
I didn't
Season
watch
one.
that one.
Season 1 was really good.
Yeah, check out season 1 for sure. Jessica Jones was good. Like, I mean, Daredevil was phenomenal for its entire run. Luke Cage was very good.
The one that they did. What was the one they did together?
Was good.
Defenders.
They did the Defenders was not bad.
I liked it. I thought it was really well done.
I like the ending. Like the ending was pretty good.
Well, and then
was that Sigourney Weaver in that one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and then the Punisher series was good too. Like I was just
except for the last 5 minutes. Except for the last 5 minutes, it was just such a horrible ending. But the Punisher series was excellent.
I forget what was the ending. I mean,
rumors. There are rumors that John Barenthal is coming back as Punisher in the MCU.
Yeah, but they're gonna make it. They're gonna water him down. They're
gonna
tell him.
I don't think they have to. I don't think they have to because they're gonna make a legit Deadpool movie. Supposedly. I mean,
no way. They like Marvel owning the right and making an actual Deadpool movie.
Marvel put Deadpool on Disney Plus.
Yeah,
unedited.
No way.
Deadpool.
No, but
they
no
put
way
the
that they
movie on Disney Plus. They are accepting that this is who we are now. Like you can't not do that. You can't be Deadpool, because if they're not Deadpool, if they're not Logan. If they bring Deadpool and Wolverine together and it's not Deadpool and it's not Logan, it's some like squishy bullshit, people are going to absolutely fucking revolt. Like that would be the straw that breaks the MCU's back. You can't fuck Deadpool up.
Mm-hmm.
Do you not remember what Disney did with Deadpool when they first got the property from Fox? They re-released Deadpool 2 at Christmas. It was a PG-13 version.
Did you watch that though?
No, I did not.
It was fucking hilarious. It works. Like it's still Deadpool.
Really?
Oh my god, it was the most hilarious. It was better than the original, honestly. Like it's because they do it Princess Bride style. Like they do it like it's being told like a fairy tale story to the sick kid in bed. Like it's fucking hilarious. You've got to watch it. Like I know that seems like it's like a Disneyfying Deadpool. It works. It's amazing.
Now, did you guys watch any of the Star Wars stuff on Disney? Any of the new series?
I've only seen The Mandalorian, really.
I only watched season 1 of The Mandalorian. I haven't even watched the other seasons of it.
They're all pretty good. Like they're way better than the second series of movies that they did, like The Last Jedi. Those were horseshit. Those were awful. They don't exist. But The Mandalorian is really good. Boba Fett is excellent.
I didn't like Boba Fett.
Andor is phenomenal. Andor is an incredibly good series. They had some really good writers for that one.
I got a bad taste from Solo and what was the other one? Rogue One.
Rogue One.
Rogue One was phenomenal. Rogue One is the best Star Wars movie ever made.
What does it accomplish? Like
just that Darth Vader scene at the end.
A friend asked me, they were like, "So what's this Rogue One?"
Movie.
I said, "Well, do you remember in A New Hope when they say many Banthams died to get us this information? Well, you get to watch them die. Like that's A New Hope, or that's Rogue One. Like what does it accomplish? And because you can't get invested in any of the characters because you know at the end of the story they're all fucking dead. Nobody comes back from this mission to get the Death Star
but
planet.
that's
it's
the
journey,
a very well written story. It's a tragedy. I mean, it's like any Shakespeare. It's a tragedy. You know, any.
But that was the same. See, that was the same problem that I had with.
It's a tragedy.
That was the same problem that I had with Solo. Is because it's like, okay, we've got Lando and we've got Chewie and we've got Han. Nobody else in this movie has anything to do with Star Wars 30 years from now. So, or 20, however, in the actual Star Wars continuity. Yeah. So anything that happens in this movie is completely worthless because we already know who the characters that survive from this are. And we know everything.
I get what you're saying.
Like,
you're more of like,
Solo,
you want to have
the
story expanded on.
But the good thing with Solo is it did set up how they started the Empire. Like the end of it is the setup for the Empire. It's how they finance the Empire. It wasn't a great story, but it was a good story.
They just don't add anything.
It was better than any of the other 6 movies, because the only Star Wars movies in my mind that exist are the original ones that came out. And even Return of the Jedi is still kind of sucky with all the Ewoks. You cut the Ewoks out, it's actually a decent movie. But when you have like Willow size midgets running around throwing rocks
at the time,
it was horrible.
Look,
it was horrible. I hated it then as a kid.
Let Warwick Davis work.
It was horrible, but it was popular at the time. They were just capitalizing on what the market wanted.
Midgets
and the Ewoks even
hairy midgets. They wanted it. No, I think that was George Lucas's like really weird fantasy. Like I think that's all that was.
Ewoks spun off into its own movie too. Like there was like an Ewoks movie that came after that. Like
I think there was a cartoon as well.
And then the Star Wars Christmas special.
Oh, the Star Wars Christmas special is the worst. We got to the part where they were just like talking Wookiee back and forth. We're like, the hell? How do you even like? It's like 15 minutes of them like just growling at each other, like that's all it is. Like 15-20 minutes of that.
Since this started with MCU talk, did y'all watch the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special?
I liked it.
No.
It was entertaining.
Yeah.
It's if you take it at face value that it's a one-off just thing for fun, it was good. I didn't hate it.
See, the Guardian of the Galaxy, the first movie was good. Was it the second one where it's his father at the end? That one was awful. That one was god awful. I was like praying either to die or the movie end, one of the two. I was like, just please, something needs to happen. Either kill me or let this movie end now.
I blame. So James Gunn is now in the process of completely ruining the DCEU.
It was ruined way before that.
I mean, the Snyderverse had potential, but Gunn came in.
They didn't let him have like they didn't sell like they should have just said, "Here, Snyder, here's the keys to the kingdom.
Just do it, yeah,
just do it,
so,
yeah."
Like they're doing with Gunn. But so anyway, Gunn has fired everybody except for Ezra Miller and who's the other one?
Gal Gadot.
No, she's gone.
No, she's gone too. Yeah.
Oh, Aquaman.
Nah, he's gone.
No, he's gone.
Who else is there?
Aquaman's gone. Superman's
so are they
gone,
rebooting
Batman's
everything
gone.
then again?
They're good with keeping Ezra Miller and
who's that?
Oh,
That's
what it was.
Flash.
They're going to be auditioning Elliot Page for the new Superman. So there's that.
You're shitting me. I thought that was like a meme.
It's legit.
No,
it's actually for real.
Are you? Oh my god.
I mean, they're gonna give them an audition anyway.
Elliot Page is getting an audition for Superman. I'm telling my wife. Elliot Page.
So anyway, and on that topic, why would somebody with a very nice set of tits do that to themselves? Like, God, and just a waste of good boobs. Anyway, they're letting James Gunn ruin the DCU right as we speak. But I blame
Henry
him.
Cavill, given the right writers and everything, he would have been the perfect Superman.
But why wouldn't you put the
drop
Flash?
the dark? Like you can have some dark, like a dark moment or something like that. But Superman is supposed to be like a character, like a light character. Like why this whole broody dark Superman? Drop all that crap. Like make him Superman again.
Superman's supposed to be your dad, and like Batman's
Yeah.
like the cool uncle with all the toys. That's
And
how I always
Superman
view
is
those two
supposed to be
characters.
like the beacon of hope for everything all the time.
Yeah.
And Batman is supposed to be the
The guy who knows, like,
side.
hey, this is all a hellhole. Like we're gonna deal.
It's like, did y'all see the so the one thing the DCU did really well?
Batman's your libertarian uncle.
There you go. The one thing the DCU did really well for the last 20 years is their animated stuff, like the Young Justice and then Justice League Doom. Did y'all watch that? Like that. Yeah. That is the perfect summation of who Batman is. It's like he's the guy that, even though we're all best friends, I've still plotted out how I'm killing every fucking one of you in case you turn on me. Like that's Batman.
But if they're going to do the Flash, they should do whoever was the star of the TV show. He was great. He was a phenomenal Flash. He was.
But they ruined.
They've already. I mean, they've announced a long time ago that Arrowverse, Flash, like none of that stuff is going to be incorporated into the DCU ever. Like period.
Well, and they're killing it off too. Like the Flash it's in its last season.
Yeah. They're completely.
Is it still going?
Yeah, it's wrapping up.
They got one more season.
Oh, we stopped watching like 3 or 4 years ago. Maybe
Arrow wrapped up, Heroes of Tomorrow wrapped up, and I think this is like the last season of. Is Supergirl gonna keep going, or is it done too?
Oh, I think all of them are. Like they're just trashing them all.
Supergirl was
all of it went super like
horrible.
woke and everything, and then they they lost a lot of viewers.
Legends of Tomorrow was where it really started to go downhill and kind of lost. So anyway,
when they tried to adapt Crisis is when like it kind of just fell apart for me.
Supergirl used to be. I mean, it could have been good. Not only that, say it used to be. It could have been a really good show, but they just destroyed it immediately off the bat.
Well, they had to make her like independent.
James Gunn is in the process of killing off the DCEU before it ever even had a chance. Not that it really had that much of a chance anyway. But anyway, I blame him for the downfall of the MCU because the Guardians of the Galaxy came out and it changed the direction of the MCU. It went from being like serious comic movies with funny moments to being
all funny moments,
comedy-based comedy or comic book-based comedy movies that tried to also tell a story as they went. And like that's like
check out Wakiti.
Thor somehow becomes a Thor goes from being God of Thunder to a full-on comedy character. Drax in the comics, Drax is not comedic in any fucking way. Like he is the polar opposite of that. Like Drax is a dude that just like goes. Drax is the big Dave Bautista. Yeah.
No, like what I'm trying to think of what his character
is. Just like murder
He's
everybody.
The bald buff guy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay.
But comic book Drax is murder everybody because that's what I'm built to do. Like he doesn't have an off switch for the murder. Did y'all read the Annihilation run? Like Thanos is about to. So in Annihilation, like Thanos is about to appease Lady Death and like end this whole thing that's been going on with Annihilation, except that Drax comes in and puts 2 blades straight through his chest and murders him on the spot. It's like because that's what Drax's fucking mission in life was to kill Thanos. Yeah. And it didn't matter what else was going on in the universe. Drax would go fucking kill Thanos, and that's what he did. And like Drax is a brutal murderer throughout all of the comics. He is not a sympathetic comedic character in any way.
Well, you could have had the raccoon be funny and everybody else be straight. Like you didn't need to have all the comedy in there. Because then that's all they went for with everything else after that was just making everything into a big joke.
Well, and that's like Groot is not a comedic character either. It's the way they did all of it was they turned the whole thing into a giant farce, and then that has since bled over into now Thor is a farce. Now the Hulk is a farce. Now,
well, they killed Thor when they were making him into like the drunk fat Thor. They totally killed him at that point.
Yeah.
Well, and right, but then we come back in Thor: Love and Thunder, and that
haven't
show is
seen it.
100% a comedy. It's not even remotely serious.
I haven't seen it.
I
It was
tried. I
entertaining,
started
but
it.
it was entertaining, but it wasn't good. Like when it was over, I took Sean to the theater to see it, and when it was over, I was like, "Well, what'd you think?" And he goes, "Well, it was fun." I say, "Yeah, that's kind of all I felt about it. Like it was fun. It didn't really give me any hope for the MCU. Like it was fun." And,
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think that they're dying. Like they had a what 10 years of decent movies, really good movies. Although I think the first Avengers is just Iron Man, what Iron Man should have been as a movie. But other than that, like you had probably 10 decent movies out of the whole thing.
I think you set up so perfect with like the original Avengers, like because that was the epitome of like what the Avengers are, what they're here, what they're doing, and then all this other side stuff. Like they don't know how to incorporate it without like trying to do they can't let the character be the character without pulling some other character and then making them be a bit or something like that. Like they couldn't just like let the characters be what they are, and they kind of a lot of the characters seem to blend together because of that, because they have so similar writing for a lot of the characters.
the trailers I've seen for Quantumania, the next Ant-Man movie, it does not feel like it's going to be a comedy, and I think that could be a good thing. Like if they take Phase 4 and Kang and the direction of the franchise in a slightly more serious tone and focus on actual character development and also kind of building the moving forward. Like we have to have a serious threat. Thanos was a serious threat, and everybody else was just kind of like jokes. I mean, all of Thor Ragnarok, they made Lady Death into a joke. Like it was.
Wait, Lady Death was in
I enjoyed
Ragnarok?
I thought Ragnarok was
Yes,
great.
I enjoyed Ragnarok. Ragnarok was a fun romp. Lady Death was never a serious villain, and like you knew what that was going to end up with.
Wait,
Like,
Lady
That was
Death.
Hela. That was Hela.
was
That wasn't
Hela.
Lady Death. Like Hela's like Lady Death for Viking Heaven. In the
Yeah,
comic for them.
that's what I.
Mm.
It's the Viking version of Lady Death, not the goddess Death, but
Mhm.
Lady.
I love how
the first Ant-Man was a great comedy. It was a great comedy. Who's the one sidekick that he has in there? The guy that's always like telling the story.
The Mexican guy.
Yeah, like he was fun in that. It was a fun movie, but it wasn't the
Paul Rudd
Marvel.
movie.
It wasn't the Marvel. The
Yes,
original.
it was
Marvel
a Paul
stuff.
Rudd movie. That's exactly what it was. It was it was a Paul Rudd movie.
I like Paul Rudd.
I do. I love it, man. Everything that he's in, I have enjoyed. But yeah, for a comic book movie, like they've turned it all into a joke instead of like maybe Snyder's DC went too far with being serious about it, but the current iteration of the MCU has gone too far with not being serious at all about it. Like I loved Moon Knight.
I don't know,
Some
which
of
one was
the
that?
way,
What Moon Knight?
Moon Knight. You
Yeah,
didn't
Moon
watch
Knight.
You don't have DC or MCU or DC or fuck. What's it?
Disney
Disney
Plus.
Plus. That's
yeah,
the
Disney
thing.
Plus.
Watch Moon Knight.
Okay.
What's wrong with you?
I
love Moon Knight.
Moon
Moon
Knight's
Knight's
kind of like their Batman, but with split personalities.
Yes,
Okay.
Moon Knight. So Moon Knight is the Marvel Batman, except that he also has multiple personality disorder.
And Egyptian
fun.
powers and stuff.
Yeah, and he has like legitimate powers. And I mean, in the comics, he didn't have
No.
a whole lot of powers. It was just kind of amplified. It was more like superhuman than superpower. But whatever. We can split atoms on that later. Like
Depends
I
on the
like,
iteration. Like I think.
yeah, I liked
There
Moon
was some
Knight,
there.
but they were also too comical with that. Like Moon Knight was never in the comics a funny character. Like it's not the way he was supposed to be portrayed. I loved the show. It was a good show for an introduction. For an introduction to a completely obscure character like that, it was good. But I mean, it left a little bit to be desired as far as just like, because I was actually a fan of Moon Knight. Like I actually read Moon Knight. I liked Moon Knight comics.
I only like the crossovers, like with Moon Knight and Spider-Man, like those.
Oh yeah, and there were some with Daredevil too. Like
what did you guys think of the last Spider-Man that came out?
I thought it was really good.
I loved it.
Really?
It was nostalgia done right. I mean, they always throw these member berries in with everything now, and they feel forced. And I thought that they did a fine job with that movie.
They treated all the previous, like they treated both of the previous Spider-Man like perfectly, and it also kind of redeems Tom Holland's Spider-Man to me, because like I was like, this kid's got everything handed to him. He sucks, and then all of a sudden he basically has to lose everything to then win it back again. And it's like, and then he has to basically wish it all away, because like, okay, I can't have all this stuff and be a serious superhero.
Yeah.
So
I thought it was good. It was a little bit too long though. It was like 3 hours. It was just a hair too long.
I didn't think it was.
You noticed he had an Uncle Ben back in Homecoming, and now they kind of like have written Uncle Ben out, and it was all about Aunt May, like that. Because I feel like Uncle Ben's always, that's Spider-Man's thing, just like Batman's parents dying. It's like a part of the character.
I think that the reason that they did that is because there were people, because you saw Uncle Ben die in 2 different other Spider-Man universes, basically, and so they didn't want to repeat that. Because even people that I was talking to is like, okay, there's going to be a new Spider-Man. Like, are they going to kill Uncle Ben again? I'm kind of bored of that.
Well, I don't think they needed to show it, but like I feel like they just kind of wrote the character out.
Right, it still needed to be a part of his backstory, but they just kind of like ignored it entirely.
Yeah.
It was like, not only was it not something that we saw on film, it wasn't something that seemed to be a part of his life in any way. Period. And that's where
he didn't remember it. Yeah, he didn't have any of the.
Well,
there were no callbacks. Like they should have done a callback.
I don't even remember Uncle Ben even being in the first one.
He wasn't.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was just referenced.
Yeah, they gave the whole great power, great responsibility line to Aunt May in No Way Home. Pretty much, right? If I recall.
Yeah,
basically. Yeah, that didn't even get attributed to Uncle Ben. That was.
But the first one of that series was phenomenal. That was just a incredibly well done movie.
Well, Michael Keaton rules.
Yeah, Michael Keaton he's the only Batman in my opinion,
and he was a fantastic Vulture.
I
really looked forward to seeing him. Hopefully, we still will get an opportunity to see him like be a villain.
He said he was going to come back for another movie. I think.
I think so. Hopefully, we get to see that.
Didn't he do like a villain movie in like the 90s?
Multiplicity?
I don't know that was a villain necessarily.
I'm joking. No, that was a comedy. I love that movie though.
Yeah, I mean, at least one of those or at least one of those clones was probably a villain. But
I thought he did something in the 90s that was more of a bad guy character.
Nah, here over I think it was in within the last 10 years, he had the Birdman, which was where he was like an actor who played like a superhero, and then he was kind of dealing with like identity crisis type stuff. It was really really good.
Yeah, because his character in that was so well done.
Yeah.
In the Spider-Man one, he was.
Yeah.
He had a great character in that.
Yeah, he fit exactly like what a like modern Vulture villain would be like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought there was a lot of potential with that. I thought the last Spider-Man was a multiverse movie done right. Like, did any of y'all see Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness or whatever? Yeah,
so bad.
I didn't understand why people liked it. I was like Sean and I sat
because they were told to like it. That's why.
Sean and I sat right there and watched it. And when it was over, he looked at me and he goes, "Did you think that was bad too?" I was like, oh my God, thank you for saying it first. Like, I thought it was terrible. I can't believe we did this.
Like, I wasted all of that hour and a half or hour.
You
and
just
45
you
minutes
get
of
into
my
some
time.
movies, you're like, is this ever gonna end?
Like, I did not expect my 13-year-old seeing a Marvel movie to look at me and say, did you think that was bad too? Like,
Well, and I think they totally destroyed her character. Like, she had a great character.
Yeah.
And they
Like Scarlet
completely,
Witch.
they completely.
and all the multiverse characters that they brought into it were inconsequential. Like,
Dude, yeah,
you literally bring in Mr. Fantastic, a multiverse Captain.
Well, and their
Marvel.
joke, they're there as a joke. Like, they're not meant to be the real, like, Reed Richards or whatever. Like, I mean, they might be in the future, but
you bring all them in for no more purpose than to murder them off. Like, it was, you're telling me the greatest telepath in the world, like, somehow just got, like, snuck up on in his own mind by some like red vampirist looking thing. That was the dumb. That was
Reed
like
Richards.
That
He's
was
like one of the
dumbest things
smartest
ever.
people in Marvel universe. Like, he just turns into spaghetti.
It was everything about the way they did the multiverse part of it was just fucking stupid. And they also did the comedy shtick for it too with zombie Doctor Strange. Like, it was so awful.
That was funny.
Yeah,
that was actually a funny part in the movie.
No, Steve. No, it was cringe.
No, it was terrible.
You were being a boomer. That was terrible.
yes,
That was
one
funny. The cringe was, the whole movie was cringe, but that was.
No, it was cringy.
Did you guys watch the Spider-Verse one? The End of the Spider-Verse,
the animated one?
Yeah, that was excellent.
That one
enjoyed
was
that one.
fantastic. Yeah.
My wife and
that-
kids
that's
love it.
like-
I haven't seen it yet.
It's really good.
It's pretty good. I don't like that they focus, so much, like, the Miles Morales. I could care less for.
No,
but-
it's cool. It's cool because you've got plenty.
and they
of
do the
people-
fat Spider-Man thing, so it's like,
You've
oh,
got
Well, it
Brian
wasn't,
Michael Bendis.
but it wasn't a forced. It didn't feel like a forced
right.
diversity hire. It felt like, okay, this is just a good
was a
story.
Miles Morales story. Like, you've got plenty
Yeah.
of Peter Parker stories throughout the MCU. You need a good Miles Morales story because he is the future of Spider-Man at some point. Like,
Yeah.
whether it's in the MCU or not, he is the
and
future of
the
Spider-Man
fact that
somewhere.
the fact that his uncle was one bad guy, that was fun. It was a well-written movie, and it wasn't like, and he wasn't, not yet, but he wasn't gay. He didn't have like a transgender best friend in this one. So it was the least woke out of all of them, out of anything that they've been putting out lately.
Well, that was Sony Animation also, right?
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
Sony.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
but the people, if you look at the people on it, they're like extreme Marxists. So like,
Okay.
yeah, they're BLM supporters. So
Look, Marxists can make good movies too. Just because their ideology is wrong doesn't mean that their movies are bad.
What was that old
I can
cowboy
separate-
movie?
but they supposedly the next one is gonna have like some
Blazing Saddles.
some kind of
No. Sorry, there was like this old cowboy movie that was supposed to be like a commie movie, and
Cowboys
it
and
ended up.
Aliens.
No, this is like old school.
That was
Westerns.
good. I enjoyed that one.
Who's that chick that was in there from the house show? That chick was hot. She was,
Justin's laughing because I said I like that movie.
It was entertaining.
It was just fun. It wasn't great. It was just fun.
I didn't think it was good by any means, but it was at least not. It was not unentertaining. We'll say it that way.
It was at least it was a original script, and
It
it
was
wasn't
unique.
something. And it wasn't something that's like been done like 45 different times.
This is very true.
I mean, it's very rare to find a movie. Has anybody seen the new Avatar, or are you planning on seeing it?
No, I hate Avatar.
I'm indifferent.
Despise it.
I just don't care.
The first one was just, I was like,
Fern
That's the
Gully
hype?
with blue people.
that
Dances
was all
with
the
Wolves.
hype. Like, I didn't understand the hype on it at all.
It was Fern Gully.
It's for hippies.
Okay.
I think the technology was what sold the first one so well. With like
So
the
like if you did
3D.
mushrooms and saw the movie, it'd make sense.
Funny story about that. I actually
I
went to see that movie with a friend, and he was on mushrooms. I was like, "Are you sure, dude? This is going to be a 3D. It's going to be a lot of," and of course,
Oh,
like,
he's probably tripping balls.
dude, no, he literally had to just, like, he would sit like this and then like have to put his head back down because he just couldn't see it. He had to like have his head in his lap for most
See,
of the
they
movie.
say that was the first 3D movie, and it wasn't. It was
No,
it
it
was
wasn't.
Friday the 13th in 3D.
Oh.
Friday the 13th 3, and then Jaws 3D. The third one was.
But I think it was the first one that sold people on any concept of 3D.
Oh, okay.
Well, there was a lot of new
Captain America in the
proprietary
original
technology Cameron had.
The original Captain America in 3D was wildly entertaining for me. Not because in 3D it was a good movie, but there's one scene where he like throws his shield and it looks like it's coming like through the screen and gonna hit you. And I went to see it with my ex, and she jumped, like she literally jumped. I thought she was coming out of her seat, like trying to dodge the shield. It was fucking hilarious.
Did you see Dread 3D when it was in the
No.
theater? Dude,
No,
that was awesome. Plus, I mean, that's a good movie anyway.
Dredd was great. Judge Dredd was
The
Not the
Sylvester
Stallone one, the newer
Stallone
one.
And
I'm
I mean,
talking
it
about
was. Yeah, I mean, Judge Dredd. It was a '90s shitbag movie.
I'm talking about the one with Carl Urban.
Yeah. The one with Carl
Okay.
Urban was like Judge Dredd done right. That was awesome.
I'll have to watch that one then. I haven't seen that.
Yeah, Dredd is.
Judge Dredd is good, but like I had I forget. Oh, that was I had to turn it down because like whenever I was watching it, I was living with my parents and like they don't like a lot of the swearing, so it's like
Plus,
My
like
my parents were the same, and I watched Spinal Tap one time,
oh
and my mom lost her mind.
dude, that 90s Judge Dredd also had like a trope that was for some reason a thing in the 90s where you have to shoehorn Rob Schneider in as a sidekick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did he get in every movie in the 90s? He was in so much in the 90s.
I don't know.
That was what you had to do for your movie to sell. You had to have Rob Schneider as the quirky sidekick. Otherwise,
His best sidekick role was in Surf Ninjas. I'll Die on That Hill.
Surf Ninjas? I don't think I've ever seen that.
I remember watching it, but I don't remember anything about it, and I kind of feel like I don't want to go rewatch it.
It's 90s cornball. It's great as far as like a bad movie.
That's not Surf Nazis Must Die. That's just Surf Nazis, right?
Is that the one where they have the moon base or the one where they ride dinosaurs in Antarctica?
what?
I don't know. I just like one of my friends, Bobby, has a podcast. And they talk about really bad B movies. And they always talk about Surf Nazis Must Die.
Have you not heard of
We just went down a QAnon rabbit hole today.
Iron Sky? You guys haven't heard of the Iron Sky movies?
No.
I think that's what they're called. They're so bad. It's like somehow the Nazis survived in the first one, and they have like a moon base where they're hiding out on the dark side of the moon.
Oh, that's awesome.
I keep thinking every horror movie that's been made in the last like 5 years is just B movie because let's see, Malignant, that was terrible. Barbarian, Conan was not in that movie at any point, and the main bad guy was a naked old lady. I mean, it was terrifying, but like not in the actual like scary way. It was, like had to bleach my eyeballs afterwards. Kind of terrifying. Like Smile was terrible. It was the most predictable horror movie I've ever seen in my life. I sat there, and every time something was about to happen, because I watched it with Katie. She wanted to watch it for some reason, which she doesn't do well with horror movies. So I don't know why she wanted to watch a horror movie. But anyway, she did. And every scary thing that was about to happen, I'd lean over to her. I'd be like, all right, watch. Here it comes. There it is. And like,
that movie had some good hype on it, though.
Everything that you saw in the trailer, like it was like, have you ever seen one of those comedy movies that like when you actually go to see it, everything that you saw in the trailer that was funny, that's the only funny parts of the movie?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how Smile was for a horror movie. Like all of the jump scares that you got in the trailer, that's literally all it was. Like it's like, okay, I saw this in the trailer. I know what's about to happen. Like it's not scary. And even the parts that weren't in the trailer were so predictable. Like the ending, as soon as they get to the ending, I was like, all right, watch. Now we're about to flashback. And then sure enough, I was like, see, told you. It's like, she was like, how did you know? It's like, this is the most unoriginal writing ever done in a horror movie. I don't know how people are getting away with writing these things and calling them horror. Like they're just, it's terrible.
I'm not big into the newer horror because a lot of it's just torture porn. I just can't do that stuff. No wonder why society's breaking down. But like the old stuff, like the Halloweens and the Friday 13th, like those are fun. They're just campy, stupid, and fun. Those were well.
I will say, I did like the new Hellraiser. It was a unique twist on Hellraiser.
The first Hellraiser scared me. I was a kid when that came out.
I like the
But see, I didn't
first two.
I didn't think the first two Hellraisers were scary. Like I kind of
I
felt
saw those when I was a kid, though. Those came out when I was young.
I guess I could see that, but like I was a kid too. I didn't think they were scary. Like they were scary stories, but they weren't like the.
Well, Nightmare on Elm Street was pretty freaky too as a kid. Like that was
Nightmare on Elm Street was a legitimate.
The second one was scarier than the first one, I thought.
But like the first two Hellraiser movies, like I didn't think they were scary so much as they really built this universe of like what the Hellraiser is, and it was a horrific, terrifying thing. But the movies themselves weren't like scary. Does that make sense?
Hellraiser 2, I remember the trailer for that was just so bad. Like that was the worst trailer.
The graphics are. The graphics are pretty not great. Like.
They just filmed in a dark room with lights pointing straight up on the characters. That's all they did. Well, then you have the Stephen King ones that were just all god awful. All those movies were just horrible. What's the one with the trucks? The Maximum Overdrive.
Yeah.
Oh.
That movie was so bad.
You remember the
I was gonna say like Cujo and
in that trailer, Stephen King he comes out, he's like, I'm gonna scare the hell out of you. And we have this lawyer in Michigan, and he's always doing these commercials. And I've always wanted to do one for him. It's like, I'm gonna Jew the hell out of you.
Oh God.
I want to write a commercial for him, but I don't think he'll take it.
Do it anyway. Be like, hey, look, I'm gonna go out on a limb here, and if you say no, I understand, but I just want to try. I just want to test the waters. Like, you might be interested in this, and if you
might be a niche market out there. Cool. There might be a niche market out there.
Like, look, Kanye started a movement, and it's time for you to capitalize on it. Like, let's do this.
Are you really going to walk away for money? I mean,
I'll take his money.
I mean, if he is a Jew, that's all you got to say is like, are you really going to walk away?
His last name is Bernstein.
100%. You can take that to the bank, which he owns. Or at least a family member. Oh God!
My wife gets so mad when I tell that joke. On that note, we've been going for almost 2 hours. I got to go to bed. I got a tasting in the morning.
Oh, what are you tasting? Wine, I'm guessing.
Coffee.
No,
I don't drink.
Oh, even better.
Yeah, dude,
don't drink
coffee. No, I had to stop.
You see this nice big giant thing that's literally the size of my head. So the way I do this is I consider that line right there to be where I should put my liquor.
Yeah.
So I fill it to there with whiskey, and then I put some ice in there, and then I fill it the rest of the way with Coke. So that's
See,
what
I just
I'm doing.
wouldn't put the Coke in when I was drinking. So
Well, I learned my lesson on that. I used to
Yeah.
just go straight, but that was back in my alcoholic days. I'm a few years removed from that.
yeah.
I'm not going to say sober, but I don't get drunk regularly. So
No, I got a coffee tasting tomorrow, so it'd be good to go to bed. And then I got a family photo shoot, so that'll be fun.
well, enjoy yourself.
Oh yeah, you guys have a good one.
Guys, thanks for
Right.
joining me. This has been a lot of fun. I had 0 expectations, and you exceeded all of them. So thank you very much. For anybody who's listening, I apologize that you didn't get Don the Pleb tonight, but we'll get that figured out. I will look. I'm going to read his apology because it's too good to not read it on air, and he won't watch this, so he won't know that I actually said this about him anyway. There it is. Here we go. So this is the message that I got at 6:30 tonight, and bearing in mind that we're going live at so 6:30 Eastern, bearing in mind that we're going live like 2.5 hours from now. He goes, "All right, I'm gonna be a giant faggot and cancel on you 2.5 hours before the show. I seem to have woken up pretty sick today, and it isn't getting any better as the day goes." And I said, I will forgive you for your faggotry. We will reschedule. I understand completely. So Don the Pleb admitted that he's a faggot, but he will make it up to me. All right, no offense to any of you, but
How will
Don
he
is-
make it up to you? You seem very excited to say he'll make it up to you.
No offense to any of y'all, but Don is my favorite person to have on the show. Like he and I have had multiple conversations, like not on air, just like one night we were texting and he said, "Are you busy?" I was like, "No." He said, "I'm gonna send you a link and we'll just actually do a call. We won't keep texting." 4.5 hours and like a full pint of Jim Beam later, we were finally like, "All right, it's probably about time that we should like go pass out," because we had both just sat there and like drank and talked all night long, and it was fucking fun. Like we didn't even talk about anything in particular. We just chat, and we did like we'll get to texting each other and we'll just talk for like 2.5 hours about life and shit. So like Don's my favorite guest because we can talk really seriously about this kind of stuff, and then as soon as the show's over, we're likely to go until sunup talking about everything else. And like he's a super good dude. So that like I enjoy having conversations with him. So I was really looking forward tonight, but this has been a whole lot of fun too, because I don't normally get to talk about comic books and comic movies and stuff like that. Like this has been a nice change of pace. And for anybody who's listening to the show that doesn't like any of that shit, sorry, I don't care. Like, if you didn't know I was a nerd, I don't know. You haven't been paying attention.
We really should do a breakdown on Utopia.
I mean, there's a reason you're doing the fact checking.
I say if
You're gonna have part of a nerd.
If you missed the Captain America over my shoulder, like
we really
the
should do the
Tolkien.
breakdown on Utopia, though. We got to do that.
oh yeah.
That was the European one was.
But see, I've got to sit down and watch through that and go through that one with Sean, because he and I watched the American one, and
they're two completely different shows.
yeah. I mean, they're equally good in very different ways. But yeah, I've got to sit down with him and go through the European or the British version too, because
Yeah.
Are they
and then
both on
and then we
Prime?
can do full breakdowns on them.
When you're ready to do that, let me know and I'll rewatch it.
Okay.
So I want to take notes on stuff.
What Jack?
Are they both? Are both of those on Prime? I know the American one
Yeah.
is, but is the British?
Yeah,
as
both
well?
of them are.
Yeah, but they're scheduling to take the American one off Prime soon.
Well, of
Imagine
course.
that. I mean,
Too
does
much
that
truth.
surprise anybody?
Way too much truth.
Fuck, I think I need to buy the DVD set of that. Speaking of which, so that's something that I have been suggesting to people that I have like just normal conversations with.
Buy hard copies.
Buy hard copies of shit. I mean, that's the reason I have all of these. It's the reason I have all these fucking bookshelves. Like, don't trust digital copies of stuff. That it's not going to exist. Whenever they decide that it's something that's hitting too close to the truth, then they're going to remove it. So like have hard physical copies of.
So something I've been doing is we've been buying books, and I plan on giving my kids a whole stack of books when they graduate, like different, like 1984, Mein Kampf, Constitution, whatever. I'm just gathering books I know are going to be outlawed. Well,
That's what I've been doing.
Yeah,
that's what I've been doing as well, man. Like even like children's books. Like my mom works at my high school I went to, and like the amount of books they're throwing away and like the books that they're bringing in there now, and she's telling me about all these new books. I'm like, dude, why is this in a school? But like, positive side, I get all the old ones that I'll still would let my kids read.
Yeah, but I think like even the ones they're bringing in, like the genderqueer book, I saw Poole did a breakdown on that book, and it's actually really tragic. Like the story of that girl is just horribly tragic, and I think it's something that you should probably check out. I mean, like I probably will order one of those too. But I think you're absolutely right on the hard copies. You got to have them.
Yeah. Well, guys, thank you. This has been a lot of fun. I'm going to end this, and then y'all can stick around and we can chat a little bit more if you would like.
I'll stay for a few.
For everybody watching and listening, thank you for tuning in. This has been a lot of fun. Again, I'll be rescheduling with Don sometime here in the very near future, and we'll get to do a follow-up on that. Be sure to tune in to all the daily content that I've got. If you are not subscribing to that on Locals or Patreon, or I guess mainly Locals, since literally nobody is subscribing on Patreon, but like 100% of my subscribers are on Locals, which surprises the hell out of me. But okay, cool, whatever. I will go where the people want me to go. I am a whore, and apparently $5 a month is all it costs. Be sure to check out Fox and Sons Coffee and Agorist Acres for all of your beans and seeds needs, and Paloma Verde CBD for all of your CBD needs as well. And he's got that Delta 8, so if you want to get a little, there you go. All right, that's all I got for tonight. I will be back on Wednesday with a brand new episode. Actually, I think I'm going to be interviewing Jason Rink. I think we've got our we're getting our reschedule lined out, so that should be Wednesday's episode. You can tell I'm most of the way through this thing, starting to slur my words a little bit. Anyway, if you're not watching the video, you have no fucking clue what I'm talking about, and I don't know what's wrong with you. You should be watching this on either YouTube or Spotify, because the video is on Spotify. If you didn't know that, just open the fucking app and look. Anyway,
should somebody say retarded? Oh wait, it's the other show.
It's the wrong show, Steve. Wrong show. I mean, you came so. I don't even have that in the queue to play. Like, I've got an ad for your coffee that I could play, but other than that,
go for it.
I don't have anything.
What's the outgoing? Fact check that one.
We'll get out of here on that. Thanks, guys. This has been fun. Later.